The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. Joining me today on the panel are Tom Grelinger. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Dom.
And Father Joseph Sund. Hey, Father.
Good to be with you.
All right. So Mother's Day is coming up as we record and as the show releases. And one thing that I've noticed as we research this topic is that a lot of the stuff we're going to be discussing, they are marketing these to moms. So just to give you an idea, we're going to be talking about smart family display boards. This idea of these screen that you'll hang up someplace centrally located in your home, and it will help your family be more organized and better communicating and that sort of thing. That's the promise anyway. And so we're going to talk about some of the major players in the space. Obviously, there's always like tons, out there, but we're going to talk about some of the big ones, and try to hit a bunch of price points, because it can get quite expensive, as I found out researching this. What we'll talk about is, what if your kitchen wall could replace paper calendars, sticky notes, chore charts, your family group text, a whiteboard that's all marked out with grids, all that stuff like that. Because the way a lot of things work today is there are a lot of apps out there that can help us organize. Like, I got a family, with my siblings, we have a WhatsApp group, and I use AnyList for shopping lists, and I use Paprika for meal planning, and it's like a ton of different things. And then other families will have stuff that coordinates sports or school stuff and all this sort of stuff. What if you could bring it all together? I think is the idea. And so these devices, the promise is they will create a shared source of truth for the household, apart from the Word of God, but another source of truth, which will be these smart family display boards. Before we get started, I just want to quickly ask if either of you have experience with anything like this. Father, have you had any experience with a smart board of this type, like an information board?
Yes, I put one in the sacristy of my church, and it has who the celebrant is, who the intentions are for, and sacristan notes.
Right.
And covering 5 parishes in a rural area. Often I'm on the road, and so this allows me for a way to update people without having to be there to put a sticky note on the door.
Good. Excellent. And I'm sure we'll come back to that as we go on and get into some more details later. But Tom, how about you? Have you had any experience with anything like this?
Not in my personal life. And now that Father's mentioned it about the parish one and the sacristy, my parish still uses whiteboards. So sometimes I'll pop my head in and say, oh, okay, so-and-so Father is celebrating today. And he's being accompanied by Deacon so-and-so. So the most I've ever seen when this topic kind of came up, the thing that I thought of was on certain cruise ships that I've been on, you could sometimes place reservations for your dining or see what all the activities are and things like that. That's probably about as close as I've come to it. I know we're going to talk later about devices from Amazon, and this is one area of Amazon that I have not touched.
Okay.
Yeah. Those things you saw on cruise ships are several $1,000s.
Yeah.
We're not going to go that deep.
And they are the ones that I have used. It's one of those things where you got to firmly press it to make sure that it takes your
it's
key
like
press.
Your phone or your iPad. Yeah.
It's like the old style touch phones before Apple kind of revolutionized multi-touch and all of that. And it's just annoying when you're used to on your phone.
Yep. So I should say my brother owns a company that does digital signage. I didn't talk to him about this at all because his is more focused on businesses and restaurants and that sort of stuff, like the higher end sorts of things. But this just to say, you've undoubtedly people have seen these. If you've been into a McDonald's or into a, like McDonald's now has the kiosks where you can order and all kinds of stuff like that. So these are becoming more common out in the world, but now they're coming into the home. And so I wanted to talk about some of the options and who might benefit from this. And maybe you would just be better off sticking with the old technology of whiteboards and paper, but we'll see as we go through. So let's talk about what these are. So they're usually either wall-mounted or countertop touchscreen displays. So they're not just monitors, as you may have gathered from what we were saying. They're usually interactive. So you can actually, click boxes or change screens or accomplish things by touching the screen. So like a giant iPad or a giant phone. So the other thing that sort of defines them is they will sync with your calendars, whether it's Google Calendar, iCloud, or whatever, to-do list, chores, meal plans, meal planning software. So they usually either have a whole ecosystem inside the product, or they'll connect to other apps and software. So the various ones do different things. And then they're designed to kind of be present for, some of them put it, ambient visibility. So in other words, it's not like sitting in front of a computer screen. It's you pass by it, it's there to see and look at as you're going about your day. So it's passive information instead of active checking. You see your day as you walking into the kitchen to get your breakfast instead of having to open an app and go look at what your day is. If you get what I'm saying. So it's there ready for you, whether you're actively looking for it or not. Let's talk about some of the different products right off the bat. And they come in several different categories. Right at the top, and when I say top, I mean price, are the plug and play family displays. They're full featured. They come out of the box ready to go. Basically, they have all the apps and features and sorts of stuff, and you plug it in and you set up your account, whatever, and then you go. And so there's two basic companies behind this. One is called Hearth Display, and the other is Skylight Calendar. And I don't know if you guys have seen my Facebook feed is constantly showing me Skylight Calendar. Yes. They have a big marketing budget. So one of the interesting things about Skylight is they have different sizes. I think the basic one's 15 inches. Let me see here. What did they say? 10 inch. There's a 10 inch, a 15 inch, and a 27-inch screen. So, to fit your wall and budget both. The 15-inch one is, it's $260. And then in order to get the full benefit of it, there are some features that come free, but the full benefit's like $80 a year. You subscribe to something like Skylight Plus, I think they call it. It's simple to set up. It's got a nice, clean interface. It's designed with families in mind, but there's not a lot of customization available. It's kind of the walled garden. It's the Apple of family displays, if you will. So you got to like what you're getting into. And then they have a 27-inch, which is $600 a year. I'm sorry, $600 plus the $80 a year for the Plus thing. Much bigger. If you have a lot of space, like a big wall, and you just if you have a big family and you need to fit everything on it, I suppose. So it's just bigger. It's not that you don't get any other extra features other than that, I don't think. And then the other one is Hearth Display, and that one I thought was interesting. It's the most expensive. It's $700. They have a $6 a month subscription. But they have a lot of stuff in that for like helping kids build routines and habits, chore charts, and they give like rewards and stars and like celebratory fireworks on the screen when they complete something. There's stuff about helping kids, work together to accomplish goals. And so there's a lot going on there, but that's kind of its weakness as well, because it makes it more complex than most households are going to want. It's expensive, but it's also complex. And the thing with all of these is everyone's going to buy into it. And if you're the tech dad or the tech mom and your spouse is non-techie, I think a lot of these are going to be a hard sell, frankly. I don't know. What do you guys think so far of what we're talking about of this category?
I think it's too much for too little. I'm not too impressed with what the Skylight has to offer versus the things I've used. We'll get into the things I've used before.
Yeah. I suppose if you're not super technical, getting something that's all in one, if you've got the money to spend, might be attractive. That's the only use case I can really see.
I just can't believe you pay such a high price for something and you still pay $80 a year.
Right.
Yeah, that was my question. Because, I mean, with the hearth display, at least once you're out the upfront cost of $700, $6 a month still seems pricey over the course of the year. You're still spending $72 a year, but you're not spending $80 a year. So in some sense, the hearth display over time is cheaper than the Skylight Calendar Max. Right. So if you're really into it, I mean, I guess I would say that if I were really diving into this, it would be I'd probably start at the lowest level. And then if it really works out and we're kind of maxing past the capabilities of the Skylight Calendar, is then consider, okay, should we maybe give this away or sell it among the family and then buy the nice one, handed down in essence.
Or get one of the ones we'll talk about in a minute that are, potentially much less expensive, and see if the concept works in your home. And that might be the way to go.
Because I could definitely see that there'll be just that one kid or your spouse who's non-techie who doesn't want to play in that world, who it will just become a wall hanging that's just there that never gets used.
Yes, it becomes a chore to keep it up to date and more work rather than fixing a problem. And you can even try this with an iPad. If you get a spare iPad laying around, there are ways to do this with an iPad that you put in a kiosk mode, and it just you can mount it on the wall, just again to see if the concept works for your family, and then go for something more. So those are the high end ones. There is a middle ground, or there's let's go with the mid tier ones, and then we'll come back to the more DIY ones.
Yes.
The mid tier, you've got ones from a company called Apollosign and one called Cozilla. I don't know. The links will be in the show notes. You can look them up there. But the Apollosign, they actually have a bunch of different products, including digital photo frames, but this one's like 21 inches digital calendar, and it's all like screens. It's all measured diagonally. This one seems to be Android based because it talks about you can customize your dashboard with Android widgets. So I don't know if that's a plus or a negative there, but it does all the similar things. It does chore lists. It shows your family calendar. It can show your meal plan. It does allow the Hey Google thing. So you can do Hey Google to it, have it like a Google Home device. You can control things with it. You can also access Gemini, which that would be very fascinating to see the kids chatting with Gemini AI on your family board. You can imagine what would happen.
Let's just throw AI on everything.
Exactly. Well, and because it's Android, it just kind of comes with it, right? That's the thing. It even has like Google Home links, so you can throw up your doorbell cam on it, which I think is an interesting idea, like or your home security cameras that are connected through Google Home. So that's an interesting idea. I think some of the downsides is most of them are not high def. There's only one that's 4K. So you're not going to have like that nice crisp display that you might be hoping for.
Do I really need 4K to see my calendar events?
Well, I'm thinking like for some things, like for showing security cam, or if you want to show pictures or that sort of stuff. I mean, because honestly, your computer monitor is more than most people's computer monitors these days is more than 4K. Like TV is, much lower resolution, shall we say, than our monitors. So we get used to that when we're doing computer sort of things. So you might notice a difference. I don't know that I would, but you might notice a difference. So that's an element to at least consider when looking at the Apollo display. But it is more affordable. It's $370. So that's a pretty good price. And the ecosystem is a little less polished than the other ones. Like than Smart Skylight and Hearth. You're getting into, it's a little, it doesn't have the fit and finish that the others do, perhaps. So it's a little more work.
One of the things that worries me with this one, it being based on an Android system, is things that are built on Android are infamous for people letting go of updates. And all of a sudden, it's 2025, and you have a device you paid $300 for back in 2012, and it's running Android 4 still, when we're up at, 15?
Right. Which becomes a security issue, or it just stops working. The fact that it runs in the Android operating system, that's a concern. It means that you're going to have to update it and keep it maintained. With security updates and that sort of thing. And again, they could stop pushing updates for it. So that's a concern. That is a valid concern. Then there's the Cozilla, which again also has a variety of sizes starting at 15 inches going all the way up to 55 inches. I'm not sure why I would need a 55 inch. Here's your calendar. To be intimidating. But the basics on that one is that you can get some large displays. It's got a nice app-driven ecosystem, but it's kind of overkill. It's maybe too much, especially in the larger sizes. The smaller sizes may be okay, but the larger ones are a bit much. The nice thing is I didn't see on either of these a monthly charge, so like a subscription. I may have missed it when I was doing the review here of my research, but I didn't see subscriptions for either of those. So that's a benefit. Let's go back to the more customizable DIY one. And Father, I think you know more about these, and you don't have to get. We'll come back to this later in the show, the nitty gritty. But in general, let's talk about the DAC board. This is an interesting one because it's a bit more. It's more power user basically, in the sense of this is not nice, neat. All the software is created just for family use. This is more open, thus requiring a bit more management and control, but it means it's also very flexible. So they do sell a board, which is $600 for a screen that goes on the wall. It comes with all the usual, a lot of dashboards. You can have weather, calendars, photos, and really what it's about is about the software. There's an online software that sends to this. So you have to have an internet connection for it to work, but that's like everything these days. What's nice about it though is that you can provide your own screen. If you have your own existing monitor or TV, you can either connect the low cost, like $80 DAC board CPU, so you don't have to, get the CPU built into a screen for $600. You can spend $80 for the DAC board, or if you have a Raspberry Pi and a monitor, you can use their software for free. So it's interesting. This is very interesting.
The DAC board CPU is pretty much a Raspberry Pi, to be fair.
Okay.
And then also, you are able to use this in a kiosk mode. So each screen, even if you just have one screen, gives you a web address that you could just plug in to your iPad. If you have an old iPad laying around or an old Fire tablet or whatever, put it in that kiosk mode, plug the address in, and it's going to pop up, use it. And so you could do this, really sign up for a free account and not even pay any money to do something. A lot of us probably have old tablets laying around in drawers at this point.
Right. It does require more tweaking, more management than the others.
They do have your free screen has pre-made styles to it.
Okay.
So the free version has no customization to it. You're just getting those pre-made screens. There's about 5 different patterns and styles that give you weather, to-do list in your calendar. You can decide how many weeks, how many days, whatever you want to show. It's an impressive amount of customization in a pre-made calendar for free.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think on the free version, it's very good for anything.
So how does it integrate with other, I mean, since it's Linux-based, is presumably being on the Raspberry Pi, how does it integrate with something with being able to make changes like on your phone to reflect on this?
Well, once you've set up with everything, you're tying in with your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, whatever. The free version, you kind of have to find the share address from your Apple Calendar and that, getting into the weeds a little bit there. But the editing, you can do it on your phone. It's just through a web page. I'd say the editing on the phone leaves a lot to be desired. I prefer to do it on a computer.
And you're not going to edit all the time. Like once you've got it set up, it's probably mostly plug and play. Like once you've got it all set up, you're not going to be changing it very often, right? Yeah.
The one I had in our sacristy has been running for about 2 years without me changing anything.
Yeah. So just to clarify, so for free, you get this one predefined setup. So you plug it in, you turn it on, and it's whatever's on the screen, like the widgets and the layout and all that stuff is set. You can tell it what your calendar is and, the weather. You can give it your location, that sort of stuff. But it is what it is. But for $5 a month, you can get 2 custom screens. So you can have it switch between 2 screens where you decide what's on there and the custom layouts. You also get up to 5 calendars instead of 2 that with the free one. And then there's an $8 a month level where it's like infinite number of calendars and a media library and all kinds of extra stuff. They advertise this potentially for businesses that you could have like a welcome screen, like maybe in your parish as you come in with information in the entry of your church.
In the narthex, and that's precisely what we use it for. We have the $8 plan. We had the additional screens are $5 a month over the 2 that they give you.
Okay.
So we have our regular announcements, but then we have an additional screen for funeral slideshows and things like that we use these for.
Okay. So it's an interesting option. I kind of like there's even like you could get a $24 SD card that you can put into your Raspberry Pi and just it sets it up for you if you already have a Raspberry Pi. Like I've got a Raspberry Pi sitting here doing nothing with a monitor attached. I was using it for something before and I changed what I did with it. And I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe I could use that because I'd love to have a dashboard for like SQPN, like my Slack and my, I don't know, my stats on the show downloads or whatever it is. I don't know, something like that.
And a Pi Zero works fine with this. A Pi Zero 2 works well with this if Pi Zero does not. And that SD card, you're paying probably $6 above what a blank SD card would cost. So that's goodness. I just got done flashing a card. I wish I would have known those were out there. That would have saved me some time.
Yeah, right. For $6, that's worth it. Yeah.
So does it allow you to do your own customization? I mean, building your own widgets or own panes or whatever you would call it?
So my sacristy calendar is not using any of their styles. It is something I hope our boards don't blow up on me for this. It was something that I vibe coded, which is AI coding.
Oh, the Discord is coming for you now.
Oh, they are. And I'm also going to tell them that HTML is programming. Oh, now they're really coming for me. I know enough of my code and stuff that there was a lot I had to do on my own to clean it up. Yeah. But yeah, so that customization, you can put your own HTML and stuff in there too.
Yeah, it's a fascinating product. I'm very interested in digging into this some more. This is probably the one I'm going to really dig into when we're done. But let's talk about some of the other things, the options. These are kind of another category. They're sort of like the smart home displays, but less capable for exactly what we're talking about. Let me get into it. These are the Amazon Echoes and the Google Nests out there. So the two smart home devices that have screens, basically, from the major players. So you have your Amazon Echo Show. They have a 21-inch now, which is huge. I didn't realize they had them that big, but it looks like all the other smart displays. It's get wall mounted in a frame. So the pluses is if you like Alexa, well, you've got Alexa in it. It's all Alexa. You have your shared family calendar. You have lists on there. There's the Amazon. If you use Amazon Photos, you can have a widget that shows your family photos. The Alexa is really good at smart home control, so you could use it for the smart home control. That's really good. And it's at $350. It's cheaper than some of those other displays, more expensive than others, so it kind of falls in the middle. The downside is it's Alexa. So you gotta be okay with Alexa. You gotta be okay with. It's not primarily about family scheduling. It's about whatever Amazon's priorities happen to be at the moment. The calendar view is functional, but it's not its primary purpose. And you're locked into Amazon, and there's a microphone on it. That if you've already got an Echo device in your home, you already know about the Amazon microphone. Yep. And if you have your events on your calendar, Alexa might tell you, hey, did you know? You could buy a thing from us that goes with this thing on your calendar. Yeah, that's the downside. And while we're talking about the Echo, there's also the Echo Show 8 and 10, which are smaller, and they sit on a flat surface as opposed to a wall mount. And as the 8 and the 10 reveal, that's the sizes. They start at $140, so they're okay. They're not really great as like a family dashboard or family command center, but it does the job in a basic way. So that's not bad. And then Google has the Google Nest Hub Max at 10 inches. So not huge. That's $230. And the Google Nest Hub 7-inch at $100. They're okay. If you live in Google's world, then you have all that great Google integration. Of course, it's great with the Google Calendar, obviously, and Google Photos. It's got YouTube built in, all that sort of stuff. In fact, I think you can even watch Netflix on them as well. So they're not bad. It's a small screen, so it's not wall mountable. So you're kind of limited in its use as an ambient passive household command center. And as the notes say here, its voice first design means family scheduling is a secondary feature. It's not not a primary feature. That's big. Yeah. So that's a huge downside on that. So they're really voice assistants with screens as opposed to skylight, hearth, DAC board. These are family displays that also happen to be interactive. So different design priorities in their making of them. I'm going to add one more DIY on the home displays. It's what I have set up for my mother. I have a nice home assistant set up in her house. And so there's just a tab on the home assistant display that's calendar, very easily integrated. And so if you're someone who's dabbling in that, that's a good solution too. Excellent. Very good. Yeah. And I've seen like YouTubers who have iPads as home command centers as well. I mean, you can do it, so it's possible. There is software out for it, but yeah. So there's a variety of solutions. I think this category will get better over time. The rumor is that Apple's get something that they're working on that's in this space somehow
for $5,000.
Yes, it'll be $5,000, and it will be delightful. It will have all the personality of that Pixar lamp.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like a combination HomePod and kind of probably like an Amazon Echo is kind of what I've been hearing. It's basically like an iPad on a stand is what I've heard, or even articulated stand, like a robotic stand that turns and faces you.
It will have as much personality as Tim Cook. So.
Oh, God forbid. Hopefully more.
Well, they just need to get Siri smart enough that
that's the trick.
That's the thing that's holding it off. And I know listening to last week's episode with Joanne, it was like, oh, she did finally buy that Apple TV that she was hoping to get the new version. And it's the same kind of thing. They're just waiting to get their new AI Siri features out before they release a whole bunch of hardware.
The Google Brain Siri. All right. So let's kind of wrap some things up here. Just kind of your buying criteria, what to look for. So you're going to weigh simplicity versus control. Skylight is about simplicity. DAC is about customization. Most families are going to want simplicity, right? This is going to, if you are the techie who's willing to dig into the guts, maybe the DAC board is for you. But if you're trying to get your whole family to buy in on this, you want something that's going to be easy and intuitive for them to use. So that's a consideration. Screen size and placement. Where's it go? Where are you going to put it? You're going to put it in your kitchen. You're going to put it in the hallway, in an office, in the entryway. And if you want people to see it, you're going to need to make sure it's big enough that they're going to see it wherever you put it. If you have a small home, a smaller one will do. If you have a bigger home where it might get lost on the wall, it's a consideration. Is it touchscreen or passive display? Should people be able to, touch it and manipulate it? That may or may not be a good thing, depending on your kids. Like they may, want to mess with it or, put their sticky peanut buttery fingers all over the darn thing. Or, you want it to just be more passive. So, especially with the Echoes, they have the voice integration. So you could talk to it if you want to talk to it. None of the others, besides the Echo and the Google Home hubs, none of the others have voice control. Those are the only ones that do actually have. Well, I'm sorry, no, because there was that one that did. Apollo Sign had the integrated Google Hey Google in it, so there was some of that in there. So, and then think about ecosystems and subscriptions. Is it full feature? Does it have all of the apps, all of the functions that you're going to want? Can you add more? Is there do they have a history of adding features over time? And consider like we had said before, well, the Android thing, is it going to have a long life? Is it going to be updated? Are they going to have updates into the future? So something to think about. And again, if everyone has to, in your family, this is probably the most important thing when considering this, everyone in your household has to buy into it. If everyone doesn't buy into it, that's not going to work. Trust me. I know this. Probably a lot of you have experienced this as well. I haven't done this, but I've had other things where I've tried to get everyone in the family to be on a thing. Smart home stuff is like a big one of those. So
I'll give a tip for adoption of it. I wanted people to look at the sacristy board and use it. And so for about a year, I did a weekly dad joke on the board in the notes section. And it actually got my servers, my sacristans, everything looking at the board and knowing it was there, because there was something more entertaining than a calendar on it.
Right. Make it a game. If whoever finds today's trivia question and answers it correctly first gets a prize or something. You could really make a way of getting people to buy into it. But you got to, there's got to be some buy-in. I mean, that's easier with the kids than it is with the spouse, frankly. But we'll see how that goes. All right. So the big downside of all of this is they're not necessary devices. And that's a we should say that, like, these are very expensive, and they can consume time, right? If you don't use it, it becomes just another thing hanging on the wall that you're not using, that requires constant upkeep, and maybe overcomplicates the way your family does things. Like, don't just leap at it because it's technology. Consider, do you need it? Will it improve life? Probably you don't need it. Probably nobody needs these things. But will it improve life? Will it make things easier, make things better? So it's not a necessary device. It's a nice device, and it brings joy and delight, perhaps, and maybe eases some of the pains of organizing your family. So only do it, if you think that it provides that value. We don't want to just be blind consumers of stuff because they dangle the shiny new thing in front of us. Okay. So, let's go with our verdict on this then. So most families, if you're going to do this, the Skylight calendar is simple, built for the purpose, low friction. So that's good. If you're a Google workspace household, well, maybe consider the Google Nest Hub Max. That's a nice alternative. All the Google Calendar and other stuff works great in it, and it gives you voice control. That's a possibility. If you're a power user, the DAC board, boom. That's no contest. It's got all of the power and customization that you want. If you are a family that you got younger kids and you want structured family routines, like very strict structure things, the Hearth provides the most of that, but it's the most expensive. So just think about that. Guys, anything else you want to say about this topic before we move on?
I just had a use case of families sharing calendars, especially grandparents. And you have the kids' sports calendars and all of those things. And so just the ability to share calendars is something that could make this a use case that if you want your grandparents or your parents, right, the grandparents, the kids to get to use it, setting them up with something where you have a family shared calendar on it might make the adoption a little better. That's
interesting. Put it in your parents' or in-laws' home that has your family calendar on it so that they know when the game is, the recital, the graduation ceremony, so that they can know when these things are and go to them. That's actually a really good point. I like that idea. I wish my in-laws lived closer, that we could have them come to those things. That would be great. That's actually an excellent use case. I like that idea. All right. So let's bring that part of the show to a close. And before we move on, we do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Chris M., Paul S., Brian L., Robert W., and Daniel P. Their generous donations at GiveStarQuest.com make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting GiveStarQuest.com. We got a couple headlines I want to go over. These are some interesting, fun ones. So the headline is, kids say they can beat age checks by drawing on a fake mustache. So over in the UK, they passed the Online Safety Act, which requires stronger age checks for kids to make sure that they're not getting into harmful content. I think they have to be over the age of something. There's like some 18 plus stuff, and then there's other things for younger ages where they have to prove their age before they can access like social media and things like that. Well, this group over there did a survey of 1,000 kids and their parents and found that 46% of the kids said that the age checks were easy to bypass. Another 17% said that they were difficult to fool, and the other group was like they were neither hard nor easy. Some of the kids would use a video game character to fool the video selfie systems. Others would just enter a fake birthday and that worked, or they'd use someone else's ID card, or even, as the headline says, draw a mustache on their face to fool the age detection filter. So not great filters. Let's just put it right out there. what I found interesting in this was the sort of the critique or implied criticism of parents who made the decision to bypass the filters for their kids. I don't know. I feel like it's up to the parent. If the parent thinks that their kid is capable of being on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I think that's up to the parent. At the end of the article talks about, everyone says stronger action is needed from both government and industry. I'm like, really, it's on the parents. If the parents need to take stronger action, I mean, government and industry has to help the parents, but it's really, when it comes down to it, it's the parents. But what do you guys think of the story?
Yeah. Parents need to be parents. Don't expect the government to be your kids' parents. And
yeah.
That's my overall.
Well, I mean, in reading the article, it also talks about that a lot of parents, they help their children get around these limits. I am not surprised by that. I mean, I'll be honest in saying that a certain someone in my family probably, had an Instagram account before she should have had an Instagram account, or a Facebook account before she had a Facebook account. So it's one of those things of, it's if parents aren't going to be on the lookout for it, then it's very easy for kids to figure this stuff out. I mean, kids have been sneaking age things forever. Fake IDs are still a thing.
Right.
And this is not going to be any different. I mean, I think the argument that, well, if it eliminates some of the misuse of the internet or the obsessive use of the internet, is that a good thing? Well, possibly. But ultimately, it's probably more just doing a digital fast that's probably more effective. And if you're trying to correct or try to form someone to behave in a socially acceptable way, the better thing to do is probably just take the whole device. And because it's not just what's online, it's the obsessiveness just with the device itself.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I understand the motivation of it, and I know that this is an issue that crosses political lines on both sides. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's enough Republican states in the U.S. that have passed age limits around this, and then you have societies like Australia, which is very strict on social media as well. So, I understand the point of it is they're trying to deal with the mental health cost that this inflicts on society of having teens who, and maybe even younger than teens, who are looking at suicidal are becoming suicidal ideation. And so that is their perspective. And I understand that. But so I'm a bit conflicted. But at the same time, I think ultimately it's a parent's responsibility.
Yeah. One of the things that concerns me is that when these sorts of things get passed is you get lowest common denominator. They just like, okay, we've done it. We've solved the problem. We've slapped a label on it. It's now solved. And then they just become complacent and nothing substantive actually gets done, like fixing the algorithm and preventing things from being like, instead of being intentionally addictive, which we know that's what they're doing with these things. So rather than just saying, we need to age verification so you can look at smut online, maybe we should get rid of the smut online, that sort of thing. So that's one of my concerns with this sort of stuff. That and the ineffectiveness of it in general anyway, which usually you never can rely on politicians to effectively legislate technology. Frankly, it doesn't happen.
There's this one line in the article that just cracks me up. It's, as a high school teacher, this is real. Dude, want some TikTok? My mom can hook us up. In this reality that, you're not meant to be your child's friend.
Yes.
You're their parent, not their friend. Be a parent.
Right. Right. Exactly. So let's move to the other headline. ChatGPT became so obsessed with goblins that OpenAI had to intervene. So I thought this was hysterical. So this was, I think, in the Washington Post or Wall Street Journal it was from. And, so apparently recent models of ChatGPT's LLMs have just been going on and on like my neurodivergent child about goblins and trolls and ogres info dumping about their favorite topic. It's kind of funny. It's acting neurodivergent. And what happened is I guess they have like personalities that you can choose. I don't remember ever seeing this, but you can choose to have certain. And so the nerdy personality apparently got overtrained on nerdy topics like D&D, I guess. So it was talking incessantly about goblins, and they in fact had to give it instruction: never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, or other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely and unambiguously relevant to the user's query. It's just fascinating to me because they don't even know how it does it. This is where we are with these things, is that they're kind of training themselves. What do you guys think? Have you run into over goblin intensive ChatGPT?
I just want to make a shout out to our Discord that said that AI can be a programmer. Checkmate.
It programmed itself.
No. I'm saying that all of a sudden it became a Dungeon and Dragons fan and obsessed with really nerdy names. And you're like, oh, looks like it actually became a programmer.
It became a programmer, right.
Well, I think I haven't run into it. The thing I've run into, and I've been using different LLMs for different times. It's just sort of one of those random things. So there's certain ones I've not used. There's a lot of them that I have, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini is probably one of my favorites just because it's easy to get to. I use Chrome in a lot of context. And since I have a Microsoft 365 personal account, sometimes I'll fire up Copilot Plus as well just to see what it does. And the thing that kind of has started to grate on me is that sycophantic personality and stuff. And I don't know, Dom, you might have mentioned that in a previous episode. It's just like, it's starting to grind on me, and I'm like, oh, if I turn on a personality, how much worse is this going to get? It's like, come on, you don't have to praise me. I don't need to. My self-esteem doesn't need to be raised here.
I'm asking.
One of the first things I do when I'm working with a new LLM is to tell it, train it, don't BS me. Don't blow sunshine up my skirt. Okay. I just want you to be straightforward and professional. Don't praise me. Don't tell me I'm doing a good job. Don't tell me you feel good about it. You don't feel anything. In the vibe coding world, right? You're telling it to write a piece of code and it's like, oh, that's such a great idea. You're so smart. Gosh darn it. I don't use please and thank you, or I know there are some people who do, and part of it is practical because every time you say please or thank you or use extraneous words, you're using tokens. That's the currency of chat bots, right? And I want to be efficient with my tokens and not burn extra electricity that I don't have to. So yeah.
Be rude. Save the environment.
Yes. Be a troll to your ChatGPT. It's only a toaster. It's only a toaster. All right. So those are our headlines. Let's move on to our picks of the week. Tom, why don't you go first? What's your pick this week?
My pick this week is something that I've had for quite a while. I have bought a couple of different UPS systems and basically by UPS, what I mean is not the parcel service, but the uninterruptible power supply. So I bought a few and a while back I bought a cyber power version, and this was based on again, one of my references, which is The Wirecutter by the New York Times, and use it. Actually, it's presently working on my Mac that I'm recording on. So I have used it for that. I have a separate one that does my fiber jack, but ever since I got Google Fiber back in February of 2025, my router doesn't have one. So I've started looking and saying, okay, when my power goes out, my internet is out because I got my fiber jack, but I don't have a router at that point. And so it's just, at that point, I then fire up my phone hotspot, and unfortunately T-Mobile's coverage right where I'm sitting is not great. It's great everywhere else in the city, almost everywhere else in the city, but not here. So I usually have to start working upstairs at that point. But in any case, I have been very impressed with this. It works really well. And, And basically, I mean, one thing that I like is Macs automatically recognize, hey, this is a UPS and here we are. And I installed the Power Panel software, and eventually I uninstalled it because the version I had installed is Intel based. And of course, I'm starting to get these little warnings on Mac about that. So anyway, I've been very pleased with it. When I did have a power outage, worked really well at keeping things running until I could get them shut down safely. So again, and when I'm looking at possibly buying a new one, I'm starting to get, it's like, ooh, sticker shock a bit on this. It's still been a great deal.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's mentioned. I know Pat's mentioned a couple UPSs in the past, but I've been very happy with the CyberPower one.
Good. Yeah, you think about the things you can put on it. I put my NASAs on it, and it's not just for backup power. It also conditions the power and prevents spikes and brownouts and that sort of stuff, which is the cause of a lot of electronic problems things. So I recommend checking them out. The CyberPower is a good name. Yeah, I have APC, but CyberPower is also good. So yeah, definitely. Excellent. All right, Father, what's your pick this week? Seems like a familiar one.
My pick is... I picked this before I saw the show notes, but I think it ties in well. But I'm going to go this route with it, that it's the DAC DIY edition. And so buying a Raspberry Pi W2, you have to get your SD card, your proper cables to get to your monitor, all of that stuff, of course. And so you'll have to do some studies on Raspberry Pis and stuff on HDMI mini to HDMI and all of that jazz. And then just a simple, I put a suggestion of a monitor on there. But any portable monitor, we're talking $60 monitors. And so when it's all said and done, basic setup, you're below $100. And so, yeah, I'm actually building one right now for one of our deacons that's doing the exact use case that I was talking about, that he wants his grandkids' schedule up front and center, and this is the solution. So excellent. I'm helping him out with that, and this is the solution. So
cool. One question, sorry, I had a question is, I know some of the devices we talked about earlier in the main segment were touchscreen devices. Does the DAC support both the DAC board support both touch and just regular monitors, non-touch monitors? The
Plus plan, I believe, the paid plan has some widgets that are touch based. By and large, I've used it as a non-interactive. So you do all your editing and you're changing on a computer or phone. This is just the display.
Okay.
Right. So if you buy their $600 wall display, that will have touch built in, obviously. I think if you get the DAC board CPU for $80, it probably, if you connect a touch capable display to it, I think you'd want to double check, but I think it supports that.
Yeah. And the Raspberry Pi would support it too. You'd plug the USB of the touch support into the, Raspberry Pi, and so if you want to do touch support for it, you could.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that's your pick of the week. Good pick. My pick this week is an iPad case. Got my daughter a new iPad, and she needed a case for it, and I wanted to get her a keyboard case. And so this was a nice inexpensive one, alternative to the exorbitantly priced ones that Apple sells, for $64. It's an iPad. This one was the iPad Air 13-inch case with keyboard. So the keyboard, or you can swap it with just a cover, so that it magnetically attaches to the case, which is nice. And the case has a kickstand. So if you don't need the keyboard all the time, you could just throw the cover on it and it keeps the screen protected. It's magnetic. It's not the smart connector. So the keyboard connects via Bluetooth as opposed to the smart. I like the smart connector. It's like that, like instantaneous. But Bluetooth is fine. Once you pair it, it's usually pretty good. You just got to keep it charged. But the battery lasts forever. But for $64, it was a really good buy, and it's worked out very well. The one thing it didn't have was a good way to hold the Apple Pencil that I got her. But my pick, I think it was last week, is the solution, which was this little adhesive pocket that you could attach to the case and slide your Apple Pencil in, which is frankly better than the way Apple does it with the magnetics on top of it, because I'm constantly knocking my Apple Pencil off.
So I mean, when I'm looking at the picture of it, it seems to show that the pencil magnetically attaches.
Yeah, it can. You could put it on top, but it's just not a great, like, she was constantly like knocking it off and falling on the floor. Okay. And, it's the magnet isn't that strong. I mean, it's as strong as the one on app, just straight up.
Okay.
It's got a hole there that where the magnets are.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So it's just the normal Apple magnetic connection, but it's not great for my kids anyway. They were constantly losing their Apple Pencils. So I got the little sleeve that I talked about last week to put in there for them to not lose their pencils, because I was tired of digging in couches for their pencils. All right. So those are our picks of the week, and that's it from us this time. We'd love to get your feedback on anything we discussed this time. You can do that by sending us an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord, where we have a Secrets of Technology channel where everyone there has very strong opinions on most technology things. It's actually a great community, and we have a lot of fun there. You can find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC343. And of course, you can find previous episodes at sqpn.com/technology. Be sure to follow us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/StarQuestMedia, where, of course, you should like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notifications. And it always helps when you recommend the show to your friends. Let people know about it. If you have somebody in your life that might benefit from some technology podcast talk from a Catholic perspective, share the podcast. We really appreciate it. So until next time, Father Joseph Sund, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
My pleasure.
Tom Grelinger, thank you as well.
Thank you, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Star Wars. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Star Wars.